Ever wondered how military discipline can turbocharge your company's culture and growth? Dive into today's episode as we uncover the secrets of how you can become a magnet for top talents and avoid founder burnout. Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Runbeck, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability. Hello, we have today another exciting speaker with us is Gerry Gadoury. He is the founder of Red Bear Solutions. He is a seasoned expert in transforming startup into destination employers. With a background in empowering founders and applying military leadership skills, principles, Gerry shares proven tactics for building compelling employer brands. And we know startups can be a very exciting moment for many founders, great ideas. How do you get people behind those ideas and want to stay with you and going into that sweat equity most of the earlier stages and continue to push forward to become then a market leading solution? So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of these ideas with your audience.
Yes, and we were just saying before we went live that we're both podcasters, and there's so many different movements in healthcare. It doesn't matter if you're in the innovation side, the advocacy side, the patient side, the provider side, and sometimes it can be a lot for anybody who want to jump into these entrepreneurial phases. And so please give us a little brief overview on what type of companies that you love to work with, and what's the bigger solution that you're truly wanting to bring into the world for them?
Awesome. That's a great question. Thank you. My sweet spot, the companies that absolutely light my fire, are industry agnostic, but the startups, scale-ups, and early-stage companies. I truly love the passion, energy, and hair on fire craziness of those early-stage companies. It just absolutely gets me excited. I've been doing this for more than 25 years, and nothing gets me going faster than those folks do.
Yes, when people are in early stage, the drive is there, the motivation is there, and they're just doing a grinding it. And sometimes I always say, I'm proud of you guys for being in that state of mind and able to, some of them are great at eloquently elaborate and bring the right people in the right seat, which is what you're expert at. But some people actually have no idea how to describe what they are truly trying to create. So it creates confusion for a bunch of people. Then if they don't really know what you're trying to achieve, then how can they help you, right? So it doesn't matter how many hours that you're putting in. If people can't understand your true mission and purpose, we're seeing that end result. So what are the key components when you are building those early stage companies? What are the common theme or challenges that you have been seeing that every early stage company need to pay attention to?
That's a great question. And you hit on something really important. 3 of the biggest reasons why startups fail is bad market fit, run out of cash, and they either have the wrong team or they can't find the right people to drive their mission. And those second 2 are most closely related to the first. You need to be able to explain to people what you do in a quick way. The old school term for it is an elevator pitch. But if you can't explain to a 7-year-old what you do in a concise way, you need to go back and retrace that and get to a point where you can, because it's that ability to explain what you do with excitement and passion that gives founders their superpower in attracting talent. Quick thing to know, a good founder is the best recruiter their firm will ever have. It doesn't matter if they hire the top recruiters in their industry. that founder's magic, their secret superpower is translating their passion into a desire to join and be a part of their mission. Steve Jobs being probably the best example of that.
In my conversation with Gerry, we dove into how military leadership principles can seriously ramp up startup culture. It's not just about discipline and strategy. It's about creating a mission so magnetic that the best minds cannot resist being part of it. This isn't your average workplace. It's a calling. By channeling this ethos, we're not just aiming for success. We're building a home for top talents, showing that the lessons from the battlefield can indeed sculpt triumph in the startup sphere. If you're listening and thinking, I have a story that can inspire, then I would love to hear from you. Do you believe your journey can motivate others in the healthcare space and you have created a successful venture to share? Apply to see if you qualify to be one of our speakers. Just visit sabrinarunbeck.com/guests with S. Let's share your success and spread the inspirational further. Right. And when you think about that, I always believe it's the traditional purpose-driven, mission-driven people that's truly attracting others to their mission. And in that case, we also have seen sometimes big investors, VC firms coming in to say, well, you guys don't seem to know what you're doing for the business side. So we're going to just hire you a new CEO or COO to run your company. However, if this new person doesn't truly align with the original mission, and then they might get into the nitty-gritty on the wrong path and never come back. And so then you start seeing the culture shift within this team of who do I listen to? This is not how we do it. How can we go back on track? Now I don't like how I'm doing it, and people start leaving.
100%. So culture is the key. Most founders and CEOs have the company culture in a nice little frame on their desk or on the wall behind their chair. But the reality is the company culture is two things. It's what your team does when you're not there and what they say about your company when their friends and family ask them. And in my experience, those two things are rarely in alignment with that plaque on the CEO's desk. And it's critical that the founding team understands that, because the other part of attraction, so in my book, Destination Employer, really talk about how to consistently attract, recruit, and retain top talent. In the attraction phase, you have to represent your company's culture in your employer brand so that the right type of person is attracted to it. They see themselves in that. So when you're building that employer brand, you want it to be inclusive of your company culture, inclusive of your DEI strategy, inclusive of the plans you have moving forward and your mission, so that if I'm a great match for your company and I see your branding, I see myself working there. Conversely, if I'm not, I don't find it attractive and I'm less likely to engage with you. So it's a win-win all around. But circling back to the original point, it starts with company culture. That's everything.
Exactly. You always have to come close loop from where you began, and how do you bring people back when things start go off track? Most time, even from the branding and marketing standpoint, we always say, start everything with your mission and vision in mind, so we can realign
100%.
everything from the beginning. Otherwise, everyone who's trying to say, who do you work for? What's your company like? If everyone has a different version, then it causes a brand disalignment in what the offer really is. And so people needed to be able to trust that the company continue to be on the same roadmap, and despite the economic ups and downs, but we still who we are, who you are, what your ultimate goal, that should not change, because those are bigger overarching goals that should not change. What you do on the quarterly basis, those milestones can modify. And with that being said, what do you see are something that you have come across in terms of growing pains that you're able to help people to overcome?
Great question. So there are phases in an organization's growth where the original leadership has less day-to-day interaction with their team members. So when you first start your organization, it might be 5 or 10 folks. You know everyone's name. You know the name of their significant other, their children. Everything is very close. The company's run, frankly, almost like a club more than an organization. But then as you grow, you hit a point where your team has grown and you no longer have that information. And that valley between those 2 points is something that some founders get stuck in. And by some founders, I mean a surprisingly large amount. It's difficult for them to grow enough to understand that their company's success means that they can't have that level of closeness with everyone. That's a place where a lot of folks derail.
In our conversation, we explored the crucial role of trust and strategic delegation within the startup landscape. It's less about holding on tight to every detail and more about rising to a leadership viewpoint that allows you to steer your team to success from a broader perspective. By giving your team the reins and the confidence to own their roles, you're not just promoting growth. You're kindling a deep sense of commitment and enthusiasm that pushes your company ahead. We explore how leadership and delegation are the key drivers of scalability, turning potential into tangible achievements. Quick pause, everyone. I'd love for you to take a screenshot of whatever device you're using to tune into our episode today and post on LinkedIn. Tag me, Sabrina, Runbeck, and share your thoughts on today's topic. Is this relevant to you? How are you leveraging it in your own company? Let's challenge the norm in your business and drive meaningful changes in healthcare together. Now let's get back to the second half of our show. Right. People feel like, well, I started somewhere. That's my close niche. Everyone is on board with me. We're running together. However, true scalability, like what my company, Postpoint Pass, focuses on, is instead of worrying that you have a big client, how the heck are you going to deliver all the promises that you just made because you don't have the infrastructure or the people to actually carry out, or you have what's seemed to be, oh, yay, Sabrina, we're getting consistent leads. I'm like, great. But are you actually continue to adding to those leads where you start losing people while you're getting new people, right? That's not really growth. So
that's churn.
When you get to, yeah, exactly. That's churn. When you get to the point of you become larger, you have these layers of infrastructure, then it's not necessary that we have to know every person's name, the background, the story. You have to be able to have that organizational hierarchy so everyone still feel appreciated, tentative, needing help. But you as the founder, you as the CEO, you as the executive should not be getting down to the weeds of everybody.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You know, there's a mentality sometimes that leaders need to lead from the front. And that works in smaller organizations. But when you think about that, the analogy breaks down because if the leader's in the front, they have no better view than anyone else. You want the leader on top of a hill where they can see farther. You know, it's not important that the leader knows everyone's significant other's name and the birthdays of their children, but it is important that someone does in the organization. It just can't be the leader. You know, if I could kind of expand on that, the other part where folks get challenged is founders have a tendency, because again, I'm a founder myself. I've founded and been a part of several organizations, and I'm guilty of what I'm about to say. But we tend to be control freaks and we hold everything close to ourselves. And when we do that, we fail to grow and develop the leadership layer under us. And that's another area where we get stuck in that valley between, in most of my clients' companies, it's typically between $15 and $25 million, where they start to need to make that transition to a real reporting structure and real systems and processes, and less foosball table and, you know, a game of golf in the back, you know?
Yes, it's having that support of each layer and understanding of what that could look like, because your company culture might be different from other people. And we know there are multiple different ways people need to have basic human needs, or how you need to tell them that some people just don't even care about bonus. They care about that you offer to get something off their plate because they're already up to their eyebrows, right? So it's a individualized team dynamic. And one of the big thing we always say, right? Who do you want to promote your second best hand is within the company of that manager level, and then filter down, right? Like we have to have some type of ladder system for people to self-promote, to be eager to do more than just their basic self. So definitely, I know you have something to add for that.
I do. So I'm often asked for recommendations on business books, and universally, regardless of the person's role, their seniority in their organization, or the industry they're in, I always start with the same book, Dr. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what you just said reminded me of one of his 7 habits, and that's beginning with the end in mind. One of the areas where founders do themselves a disservice is they don't think through what they want their organization to be when it grows up. So I might be a founder who's starting a company strictly to grow and sell. Knowing that ahead of time, I'm going to make decisions that support that end goal. I might be a founder that wants to build a lifestyle company that I run for 10 and 15 years and then just walk away from. I might be a founder who wants to become a national chain or publicly traded. Understanding those things informs the decisions you make and the choices that you have available to you. And most founders, so years ago when I was providing management consulting into technology services and product industry, I would start with that question, so Sabrina, what do you want your company to be when it grows up? And they would seem mildly annoyed that I would ask that question. And I would say, understand that answer informs everything after. And that's an area I would love to see founders spend more time with. Not pipe dreams, but what do I want it to be when it grows up?
Yes, and that's when we can do 2 ways. People can think about what's your 1-year goal to 3 to 5 to 7, then build onto 10, or do the other way. What's that 10-year? What's that big audacious goal that you want to have? And then reverse engineer to the point of now. And then you can truly create the founding quarterly milestone and break it down to 2-week sprints. But without that bigger direction, people tend not to pick up too many things and feel like, oh, this need to be fixed. That need to do it. Like, no one has the mental capacity to do all of that. And I believe that's what you even mentioned. A lot of us who are high functioning founders tend to also have these controlling tendency of, if I just know everything and be involved in every single step, maybe it will make myself feel more ease when things are happening, so that I can just jump in and save the day. But we also know from a talent growth perspective, if you're constantly jumping in and save the day, then people are going to wait for you to save the day and they're not going to do it. Yes.
You become the bottleneck. I could not agree with what you said anymore. That's 100% accurate. And it doesn't matter how fast you're moving if you don't know what direction to run in. So I completely agree. And one other quick note, I've got a good friend that's a therapist that works only in the entrepreneurial circles. And it's her thesis that all entrepreneurs and early stage executives have some type of trauma they're dealing with. And the way that they cope with that trauma is the madness of the startup world.
Well, in Passive Intelligence, it's a study from cognitive behavior to neuroscience and positive psychology and performance sciences. We identified 10 sabotaging tendencies, and all of us have some degree. Not all of us have all 10. But even when we see them, it's always a defense mechanism. And then we tell ourselves, this is why we do it, right? Mm-hmm. And they end up actually causing more anxiety and stress for us instead of the other way around. So that's something we always talk to founders is, how do you train your brain to get out of that state so you can be in the highest functioning state of healing, of seeing opportunity instead of fear, of stop the paralysis analysis, actually go for and activate the things that you deserve to have, and then to live in that abundance moment. And there's a lot of fun stuff that even for myself that I use. Before I went into medicine, my background is in neuroscience. And when I got into medicine, I was so burned out doing surgery all the time. And that's why I would say I'm a recovery clinician now, because I only do surgery 1 week out of the month, right? And still have fun, but not like being like, oh my gosh, this never ending. Now it's about the fun things of helping tech founders who already be in the marketplace to be able to scale into that way. And then that's the two of us was like, oh, we have so much to talk about, because the early stage have their own thing. And then I take them over from that mid-range to go for the next level and bring the whole board. And then they really have to think about how to work with other people and not just relying on themselves, and truly trust that everyone come to the corner is meant to be, is actually coming from a good heart, instead of questioning everybody's motive.
Yes. You mentioned something that I think bears speaking about, and that's burnout. I see founder burnout often, and there's a couple causes that I see consistently. One of them is that they don't delegate anything. So they just simply give themselves more tasks than they can possibly bear. That one's fairly obvious. But the other one that's a little more subtle and just as damaging is, in an effort to expand rapidly, they delegate the things that they truly love and are passionate about. And they find themselves doing the things they don't like because they do them well, but they're no longer doing the things that get them excited. And that leads to a lot of burnout.
Yes. So I call that losing your desire zone and swing into the distraction, the discouragement, and the drive-thru zone altogether, right? And then always have an excuse of, no, I can just do it faster because I'm good at. But that's the discouragement zone, because the more you do, the slower you get to it, because you don't like it no more. And then the distraction is like, no, this seems to be, I'll figure it out. We're smart. We'll figure it out. And then few hours go by, you still have stuck on Googling, data inputting, whatever that means, right? And then the definitely the last one, the drive-thru one, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Yes.
Nobody else likes it anyway, so I guess I'll just have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the passive aggressive response.
Exactly. Well, I love it. I can't believe it's already been 20 minutes. We can definitely talk a lot. Yes, I definitely going to have a lot more conversation in the future, and definitely see a lot more opportunities between our network of healthcare creatives, leveraging like yourself with their voice to truly create betterment for our innovation side or our patient side and caregiver side. So it sees many amazing things going forward. So how can people best find you and learn more about your work?
I am the easiest person in the world to find. I live part-time on LinkedIn. If you reach out to me there, I promise I will connect. You can find my book on Amazon, Destination Employer. You can find me on YouTube under my own name, Gerry Gadoury, or by the name of the show, The Business Mastery for Startups and Scale-Ups. Any of those things are an easy way to reach me, or heck, my email address is the super secret jerryg@redbeardsol.com. Don't tell anyone.
In today's episode, we dove deep into the core of company culture, examining how principles of military leadership can significantly benefit emerging businesses. We discussed the keys to forge a company culture that not only draws in, but also keeps top talents, making your venture a magnet for the best in the field. Here are the brief review of the 5 things we discussed. Number 1, the essence of military leadership in a company. Implementing military discipline and clarity to create a company environment that's both productive and motivating. Number 2, cultivating a magnetic company culture. developing an authentic culture that resonates with your company's identity to attract the right kind of talent. Number 3, navigating founders burnout. Think about the tactics we discussed to keep your passion alive and avoid burnout by finding the right balance between delegation and involvement in your business expansion. Number 4, leadership and delegation. The growth catalyst. The critical role of trusting your team and nurturing a leader tier to advance your vision. Number 5, the road to becoming a destination employer. Establishing a brand and culture that positions your company as the ultimate place for top talent to thrive. We're eager to hear your stories and insights. Share your thoughts on LinkedIn and tag me, Sabrina Runbeck. Let's start a conversation that could guide our collective journey together toward a more fruitful and streamlined future for your company and for all of the leaders in healthcare. Okay, so I would love for you to answer this question. What's been your greatest hurdle in matching your leadership approach with your company's stages of growth? Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.